And welcome back to a fresh episode of Business Growth Show. I'm your host, Sam Dunning, co-owner over at webchoiceuk.com. And if you haven't yet, check out our weekly email where we share actual marketing tips, useful podcasts, free guides, bonus resources, and much, much more to start your week off with a bang each and every Monday. You can sign up for it today at businessgrowth.email. So joining me today on the show is Nadia Milani. Nadia is the VP of Marketing over at Proposify. Nadia, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Doing good. Thanks so much for having me. So happy to be here.
No worries at all. So looking forward to this one. We're going to be chatting all about how you can absolutely dominate your sales deals from the proposal to the closing the deal itself. So let's jump straight in. Let's not beat around the bush. Let's talk about why are proposals so important, Nadia?
Well, proposals are so important because they're the final thing that the customer sees before the deal closes. So there's like a lot hanging on the proposal. So it should be beautiful. It should be clear. It should be simple. And typically, people don't really know what happens after that proposal sent. So at Proposify, we actually add some visibility to that stage. So it helps you figure out like what actually can close. So proposals are so important because they are going to help you seal that deal.
Yeah, and you've raised a good point straight away, because I can't tell you the number of times, especially when I first started in sales, that I'd perhaps speak to a lead, whether that was a referral or whether it was one that came through our website contact form, and we kind of have a chat. I'd think it was going well. We'd discuss a potential project, and they might say, "Sounds good, Sam, send me a proposal." And then I'd send a proposal and crickets. So right. I didn't know if it was good, didn't know if it was bad, didn't know if my proposal was kind of hitting the nail on the head, if I'd covered all the key points, and then tried to get hold of them, it's gone. So
right, and the thing is it can take a lot of time, right? So I remember, so I've been on the marketing side of the business, but I've worked so closely with sales because I've been kind of in the revenue, either on a revenue team or just working really closely, obviously, on inbound. And I just know that proposals and writing them can be so painful. It can take so much time.
That's it.
And when it's gone out and it actually hasn't worked, it's tough. It's tough for a salesperson. And so that's why we're here today. So we're here to tell you how to create the best proposals so you guys and gals can close better and faster.
Sounds good. Sounds good to me. So let's jump right in. You've got a 6-step framework that you're going to share with us.
I am.
So let's get stuck in.
Let's do it. So basically, so Proposify, every year, what we do is we send out a state of proposals. So this year we are sending out a 3rd annual state of proposals. And what we do is kind of put in all the data that we have in our system. And we have over 1.1 proposals that we analyze every year. I think last year was 1.2. And so what we did is we kind of figured out like 6 easy ways to make your proposals better so you can win more deals. So I'm going to review 6 of them right now, and then you can ask me a bunch of questions in the middle of it. So it's really kind of created around like 6 steps. So it's proposal structure and design. So it's making sure your actual structure and design is good. And I know that sounds simple and basic, but there's more to that and meat to that to help. And so creating an amazing proposal, like how to create a proposal that will close better. Sending your proposals the right way. So I know like people think that, or in sales, people will think you send it, it's done, let's move on. But there's a way of actually sending it to maximize that and kind of hack the send.
Okay.
And then tracking and following your proposals like a pro. And we're going to talk a little bit about pricing and negotiation and some data that we found around that, which is actually really insightful. And then closing a win. So how to use the proposal to really win. So I'm really excited to start.
Yeah. So Proposify literally analyzed 1.1 million proposals. That is a ton of proposal documents, right?
It is.
I'm guessing that took them some time. I mean, I've probably only written a few hundred.
So I will say that like it wasn't me who analyzed all the data. So there's a team of people on our at Proposify.
Sure.
Because it certainly wasn't me. But yeah, we've actually looked at the 1.1 and we found some really great consistent kind of trends with proposals and how companies using Proposify are sending proposals and kind of what those key trends are. And it's really interesting because it has kind of changed. Like in 2020, we were in the middle of COVID and we had some different insights into last year's, which is like right here. I'm going to show it to you. Actually, we printed hard copies of it last year.
Nice.
And so that was really interesting from last year. And this year, the data has changed a bit. But you're getting a sneak peek because we actually haven't published this yet. So you are the first person, and anyone hearing this are the first people to get the data before we actually release it. So
Awesome. Exclusive for Business Growth Show. Awesome.
Sam, it's an inside scoop for you.
There we go. There we go. So first and foremost, I know we're going to be talking about the proposal structure and design. So yeah, looking forward to hearing your tips on this, really, in terms of how they should actually look and feel, I guess.
Yeah. So we're going to release an actual like a full-on like state of proposals that'll have like pages on this. So you have like, it'll be more visual. So people who are listening to this, I'm going to be talking about it, which sometimes isn't always the best, but we're going to have visuals to kind of like show you some of this. But really with proposal structure and design, it isn't a nice to have. So I think like people sometimes think, specifically when they're kind of rushing into proposal, what's the kind of strategy? And I think it's really important to think about it with a plan because it's really essential to closing. So yeah, the best proposals aren't complicated. Okay. So I think that like some people want to put in their heart and soul and they go into a lot of details about a lot of the things that maybe have been discussed with the customer. But they shouldn't be complicated. They should be concise, persuasive, and really kind of just follow like a logical structure. So, and then once you've kind of like nailed the specifics of what you want to put into the proposal, 80% of it shouldn't change after that. Like I think the formatting, once you've kind of like knocked it down and you kind of figured it out, like 80% of it shouldn't change. And then 20% of it, as you kind of have more customers, you can kind of, massage it and make it more applicable to each customer. But what we found was that shorter documents perform better. So the shorter, the better, people.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And in terms of, I guess, the structure and design, are there any points that people should consider? I mean, that's interesting that you've said straight away that it needs to be kind of concise, because I can't tell you the amount of times that I've perhaps asked a vendor for a proposal and in return you get kind of a 30-page generic document and as I can certainly say this from a buyer's perspective, and I've probably been guilty of it as a seller perspective. Usually I'm just going to skim the first couple pages, kind of make sure they've got my brief, perhaps the problems that I've raised in the sales call and my goals. Then I'm probably going to skip to pricing, check it's within the budget we discussed. And that's probably all I'm going to flick through if a proposal's emailed to me in brutal truth. So I guess that is that why we're kind of pushing towards the shorter, kind of more concise options?
Yeah, I think that with like specifically if you're like there's competitors and they're in a buying process, they're going to want to kind of skim through the details probably a lot quicker. So we just found like shorter does better. Like on average, a winning proposal contains 11 pages, usually organized into 7 sections. So that's what we found in our database. But also proposals with images. So adding images will help you close 72% more likely. So adding images of your team, of your company, branded imagery into your proposal template helps and helps you seal the close 20% faster is what we found in the 1.1 million proposals that we viewed. And then also we found that video is, interesting enough, is something that is increasingly becoming a conversion point on proposals. So adding a video can increase your close rates up to 41%. So that's pretty high. And then also we found that it'll help you close 26% faster. So images and video, people, are the 2 essential things to add into your proposal. And I think like, when you think about like proposals of the day where people were just putting it in Word docs, and some people are still using Word docs for proposals, there's so much opportunity to elevate it based on the data that we're seeing. So it's making those proposals stand out, because if you are in competition with other competitors, anything that could help you look more branded, established, more appealing, but also adding personality by images and video is going to help you stand out.
Sure. So making them nice and visual, leveraging video, leveraging imagery where you can.
That's
What
right.
what about any other things on this point now to consider about perhaps business challenges or leveraging any insights from kind of the initial sales calls that we should consider, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's really important to understand the business challenge your prospect is up against. So it's so important to like figure out what is it that we are trying to solve for, and not being afraid to using emotion and personality into proposals. Like I feel like specifically when I worked at more enterprise organizations, like we were very like almost legal in our proposal and conservative in our proposal approach. But it's really important to address the business challenge, but also add some personality into it. And that's all about, I think, just being a good writer and being able to translate what the business challenges are in kind of in a document style. So we found that like being concise, being persuasive, and having that visual identity in your proposal just all helps you seal the deal faster.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. I didn't know that about video. In fact, I don't know if I've ever received a proposal with a video. I know I occasionally send them out using tools like Vidyard and Loom and all those good stuff with proposal recaps. But is that actually putting a video like inside the proposal document or?
Yeah, you can actually put the video in the document, or if you are currently using a proposal software that doesn't allow you to do that, or you're still using Word, or you're using any other kind of more simple software, like adding like a Vidyard to your proposal or any other type of video will help. And we found that winning proposals include video are viewed 9 times more on average. But also videos without video, so proposals without video are only
Yeah.
viewed about 5 times on average. So there's just like a lot of correlation about adding that personality just through video helps in the close. And it just kind of like, again, helps your customer remember your prospect. Who was I talking to specifically if there's like multiple people that they're talking to during their buying process.
Yeah, sure. And I imagine it helps you break through the noise as well, especially if a company's comparing vendors. So if there's like, perhaps you're against 2 or 3 other agencies pitching for the work, and if yours is the one that's more visual, has got a video summary, and kind of stands out from the other options, I guess it kind of positions you as a preferred choice if you've gone out and made that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But then also like creating this was like the second point of like how to really nail your proposals and dominate the
Yep.
close. So it's such an important part of the proposal process too, because people just think like I'm creating it and I'm going to just slap everything together. I've talked to my prospect. I know what all the problems are. This is easy. I've added an image, but like, how do I actually assemble it all together? That's like, I think that's what's really important to understand. So we've outlined a bunch of ways to help you do this in the state of proposals. But like the 3 main methods that we found, again, like from the data, is to really, so when you're creating a business proposal, is really starting from scratch, duplicating an existing document. So anytime there's like multiple salespeople that are in the process or at your
Sure.
organization, it's really important to kind of have like a template or creating something that, from something that exists. Because if you're
Right.
not doing that, then I think it just takes longer. And we've seen that in the data. So creating it from a template or something that even like a marketing person on your team can help you with, and just having that like template that's kind of done, the images are there, kind of the main points and framework are within your proposal are there. And then from there, you're really just putting in the details, and then you're able to just kind of get just further along with it and get it done and move and get it to the client as quickly as possible. So we found that those salespeople who were using templates, like something that was already pre-existing in their software, usually minimize their errors, costly errors actually sometimes, and also we're able to put it out a lot quicker so they can send it out to the client and sometimes beat out the competition.
Yeah.
And I mean, sounds pretty obvious, but 64% of proposals we found in our proposal software on Proposify were created from the template, and then 34 were duplicated from existing proposals. So, I mean, not like groundbreaking data in terms of like, I think that there's some obvious things there, but the key thing is like you want to kind of build the design, get a framework and template it so it's just something that you can use over and over again very quickly and getting it out to your customers as fast as possible.
Yeah. It makes sense, right? Because I mean, it's, especially if you're relying on your sales team to ship proposals. I don't know, perhaps they've got a target of speaking to X amount of qualified leads per week or per month, and they've got to ship out several proposals to hit their sales quota. Then if they're going to have to create everything from scratch and build all these custom proposals, they're going to be forever doing admin work.
Right. And you don't want to be doing admin work. You say admin, I say admin, but like, it's the same thing. You just don't want to be doing that all the time. You want to be able to kind of get it quickly done, move on. And I'd actually use another stat that was kind of interesting. And I remember reading it in the data, was that, so we have in Proposify, like input client fields where they actually put in certain items or certain things that they want to add into the proposal. So that kind of gives like almost like an interactive approach to creating the proposal. So they're able to add something that they feel is really important to you, their service or your product, et cetera. So we found that like proposals with client input forms that were used actually closed 61% more. So I know it's a data stat, but basically what that allows you to do is it helps you kind of figure out, okay, this is the proposal I send out to you, but it gives the ability to have these kind of these forms within the software where the client can actually go in and add something that you either may have missed or an additional item that they thought you may have not thought was like it was really important. So we found that by making it interactive and getting them the ability or creating the ability for them to actually input stuff into the proposal will help you close as well. Because if you've missed something, it gives them the ability to add it, which was I thought an interesting stat.
Yeah, it's not something I've thought about, to be honest, much in terms of actually getting prospective buyer feedback. So I guess, and feel free to correct me if this is wrong, but I guess if, like you said, if you've missed something from perhaps the discovery call and perhaps you're laying down their goals and objectives in one of the first pages, and then perhaps the buyer reads it and they say, look, you've actually missed a point on this, or we've had an internal conversation and we've realized we actually need to include this and this, then you can kind of get that feedback live, I suppose, if you enable the.
That's right. So and it helps just kind of again get to the final really proposal and offer or service agreement quicker. So then there's like that collaboration and that ability to kind of just get the alignment with your customer on exactly what needs to be delivered. So we just found that was something also that stood out in the data. But then the third point is sending. So actually sending your proposal and how to do it. And we've already kind of talked about it, but it's like getting it out the front door, or out the door as soon as you can, without any errors and without any, making it visually appealing. And in terms of, we talked about like actual proposal and document tips. It's having all of that, but then sending it out the door really, really quickly. So proposals that get to prospects faster, just close faster, period. Like that's what we found. Okay. So it sounds simple enough, but Sam and I know by either being in sales or working with sales is that sometimes we can get stuck at the proposal stage because there's either a lot of proposals needing to be sent out, or there's like just not time, or the salesperson is just doesn't have time for that admin work. So it sounds simple, but the act of sending your proposals can really have a lot of obstacles that can sometimes stop you from just getting it out the door. So I think it's really important to nail down a consistent workflow. So allowing your sales team to move with the speed that they need to get, again, close that deal. Because there's like that cliche. I'm not really good at saying like verbatim what the cliches are, but time kills like all deals, like something like that. So get it out the door. And we saw that 25% of proposals are actually won within 1 hour of opening. So
really,
it's what we saw in our system. Okay. So a quarter of them are won within 1 hour. 42% of proposals are won within 24 hours of opening, is what we also found. So that's a pretty high number. And then we also saw that about half of proposals opened within 80 minutes of sending, so about like an hour and a half. And then 15% of proposals were open within 5 minutes of sending. So, which shows that there's, a big proportion of proposals that are being opened like right away.
Yeah, and it kind of reminds you of this saying, speed to lead. So
Thank you. Speed to lead. Thank you.
So it's like when a inquiry comes in from your website or your landing page. I think there's a bunch of data on this, and it varies a bit, but I think it's like within 5 minutes is the optimal time. Appreciate if someone inquires at midnight, that's probably not going to happen unless you've had about 10 coffees, you're not gone to sleep. But
I've done that before. It's not fun.
We've all been there. And but yeah, I think it's around 5 minutes. So essentially, you need to be responding to an inbound lead within 5 minutes, and it's just going to put your chances of winning the deal way ahead. Are we saying a similar thing with the proposal? Like once you've had your conversations with your client, and then they've agreed everything, and you're ready to kind of send the proposal, the process of actually getting it out the door.
Get it out the door. It's very similar. The faster you get it out, the better. So, and we've seen that with just the results and closing time and just proposals viewed. So it's really essential. Very similar to when you're following up with a lead from as a BDR, SDR, like as an AE or anyone on the sales team, like go out and send that proposal as soon as you can.
Yeah.
And then we saw like deal velocity too. So something that we've been tracking like year over year is also like just deal velocity. So overall deal time to close. So we've looked at the TTC, we call it. So our data goes back to almost, I think, like 2015 or 2016. And it showed that sales cycles actually are shortening by an average of 6% year over year. Okay. So I think our assumption on that is like technologies and processes are obviously have improved like year over year. And specifically like within COVID and stuff, like everyone was forced to use, more technology for those companies that weren't already fully stacked with a million different software tools. So we just noticed that in 2020 specifically, it like really dramatically increased, and deals took about 44% less time to close, which was like, that was kind of cool. And then so last year in 2021, the trend continued, and it actually further decreased. So the time to close decreased by 12.6%. So it currently takes about over 4 days for the typical deal to close once a proposal is created. So the time to actually close is significantly taking a lot less. So again, a point about really just speed to lead, as you said, but really just speed out the door, get that proposal out as soon as possible.
Yeah, I guess, and feel free to correct me if you think I'm wrong, is that with the era of digital selling, because there's less face-to-face meetings, most of our communication is probably now phone, Zoom, like some kind of live video chat. So we're not having to travel as much. So most of our communication on perhaps initial sales conversations leading up to that, sending the proposal, and then follow up, which we'll talk about in a minute. I guess that process is sped up. Therefore, the proposal stage and winning the deals is sped up as well.
Yeah, I certainly agree with that. Like, I don't have like the actual data to confirm sure. that specifically, but like honestly, we all know that in this age, like we're consistently on Zooms. We are, also the balance of time. Like I feel like time is just, even though we have technically more time because we're not commuting, but I think everything's gone digital. We're looking to like optimize time even more because we're balancing. I certainly am balancing here at home, with children and like work, and there's still a lot of that happening, even though most kids are at school. But I totally agree with you. I think it's just we've become more digital, and things are just, I think, are just easier to do because we are increasingly becoming more digital. But I think time is of the essence. So the faster we can do stuff, the better, and the more time we have to balance.
Yeah. It makes sense. So we've sent it. We've got it out the door. What comes next?
Now what do we do?
Do we hope for the best and just await the check in the mail?
Yeah, we book the vacation and go out on a vacation somewhere. No, we track and we have to follow up. So Proposify is great because it allows you to track the deal and when the proposal is being opened, so you can understand like what's the engagement with the actual proposal. So that black box that we talked about, a little bit at the beginning of the chat, where you before we didn't really know what happened after a proposal was sent. Are they opening it? Are they viewing it? Or multiple people viewing it? Like, what's happening there? So I think it's really important to understand the status of the deal and really understand what's happening with the proposals. Otherwise, you could be wasting time, or you could be kind of like using your time on something else that would be worth your time. Does that make sense? So it's really about tracking and following up. So Proposify does give sales teams like that analytics and the view to be able to see what's happening with the proposal once it's in the prospect's hands. And then, it's really important to be able to follow up. So either through automated emails or having like an automated notification. We sent you this email or this proposal, you haven't looked at it yet. And having those actionable follow-ups, either you writing an email or having them automated through the software, is going to help you close a lot more. So just a small stat from the 1.1 billion proposals that we looked at. Proposals with scheduled reminders have a 35.4% higher close rate than proposals with no reminders. So that's 35% more likely to close. So it's really important to follow up. And I think sometimes sales reps, A's certainly they will, but it's important to really do that for all your proposals.
Definitely recommend that. That's something as well as just sending the document, like you say, before you even send it. I would recommend anyone, from my own experience and my own pain more than anything, of just kind of agreeing to send a quote or agreeing to send a proposal, and then just, like I say, crickets. So on your initial sales calls, just saying, look, I'm happy to invest the time. I believe, if you believe that there's a mutual fit between your companies and you can add value to them, just saying, look, can we carve out some time next Wednesday or next Thursday when it makes sense to sit down for 20 minutes, go through this proposal together? Because just getting that face time alone with a proposal definitely helps improve your close rates, from my own experience. So going back to your point on the tracking, so having some kind of software tool set up so you can see when people open the proposals, I guess that works in two ways, right? So if for some reason the email goes to spam and you just see it's never open, then you think, probably need to give them a call so I can actually check that they got that proposal in the first place. Or
That's
likewise,
right.
I suppose if it goes on the opposite end and they're just constantly opening it, you might want to give them a shout and just see, look, how are we doing? I've actually seen that you've opened the proposal quite a few times. Are we looking to move forward?
Absolutely. So, there's automation, but like at the end of the day, getting, on the call or calling someone still works. And I think talking to so many sales reps and A's and salespeople in general, right. It's just following up and taking the extra effort to see what's happening. So I totally agree with you. It's not only about setting up the automated email, take the next step and give them a call.
Yeah.
Love
Makes
it.
sense.
So the next point we're going to talk about is discounting and negotiating. So this is my favorite thing, because I know I've worked places where we would go to the discount way too soon in the conversation. And what we did find from our analysis is that, specifically in 2021, is that discounting doesn't always work. And I'd love to get your perspective on this, Sam, on discounting and negotiating. But discounted proposals have a close rate of 23% lower than the proposals without any discounts. So just wanted to say that one more time, 23% lower close rates than those that don't have any discounts. So I think sometimes as sales professionals, we'll go straight to discounting sometimes. And I would really recommend not doing that, specifically with the initial proposal send. So what are your thoughts on discounting? I'm just curious.
Well, I don't know if you've got the logic behind the stat, because the only thing I'd query, does that mean that the sales rep sent on the very first time they're sending the proposal, and they've put, for example, our product is normally, I don't know, 10 grand per annum, but we're doing it for you for 7,995 if you'd like to be? Or does it mean they've had a conversation after they're sending the proposal, then discounted it in the revised proposal? Or does it mean the first one?
So it's the first one. So it's having in there like a reduced pricing within the proposal. So it's like usually 10,000, like a minus discount field, and then you're getting it for 5,000.
I see. Yeah, I think this is only from a personal perspective. It just kind of reduces credibility a little bit because it's almost like they're trying to do you a deal before you've even kind of built up credibility, I suppose, although you might have done some in the initial sales conversations. So, yeah, I mean, from my own perspective and from tips that I've stolen from negotiation experts that have been on the show, you usually want to look at getting some ground back. So if someone's going to say, look, if the prospect's looked at the proposal, then comes back to you and says, look, Sam, everything looks great, but I need you to sharpen the pencil. I need you to do 5% off or whatever they're proposing. You might want to look at some terms that you're going to get back in return, whether that is they're going to give you a referral, they're going to give you a testimonial, they're going to sign for 12 months instead of 6. Right. You need to look at that ground that you can win before you just start randomly slashing your prices and hoping for the best. That's just my 2 cents.
Love it. And we saw it in the data. So winning proposals have an average discount of 27%, while unsuccessful proposals have an average discount of 36%. So when people are discounting, we notice like the lower discounts are a little bit more successful in that data stat. And 27% of unsuccessful deals are discounted compared to only 20% of winning deals. So anyway, the thing is I mean, lots of numbers. It's really about don't just go for the discount. At least send it out without a discount. Have the conversation is the 2 cents there before you close. And that's really the last point of this 6 winning steps to proposals and dominating your close. So what was really interesting in a lot of the data about the close, and we're going to be releasing that in about 2 weeks, but we noticed that there was one stat that helped you increase your close rate by 4 times. So that's the one I want to share with you. I'm just interested if you have any guesses on what that is, Sam.
Ooh. So 4 times likely to close if you do this on your proposals.
Yes.
It's not. I'll have 2. Can I have 2 guesses?
Okay, yeah, 2 guesses. That's absolutely fine. We're making this game up as long as we kind of go, so there's no rules. 2 guesses, go for it.
My first one is that you agree, like we talked about earlier, actually, that you agree a follow-up time. I'm going to send you a proposal and we agree a video call, perhaps in 2 days' time to go through it.
Interesting.
And then my second one is that you have a sign form on the proposal itself, like someone can e-sign it.
Ding, 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 ding. We have a winner. His name is Sam. So yes. So it's somewhat of the second point. So what we notice is that e-signatures will significantly improve the deal performance of your proposals. So it's not, so it's really adding the 2 or how many signatures there are signatures within for the proposal, adding those fields already in the document, but also signing your proposal before can help increase that close rate by 36.8%. So such a simple addition to your proposal by you signing it.
The sales rep literally signs it so they can see the signature already.
Yeah, so they sign their part. It's already signed, and all you have to do is send it out with another field or fields for the signer, and then that actually increases it by almost 50%. So such a simple hack.
That's
and
interesting.
We've seen that in the data. So you're right. So the e-signature, adding that in will actually help you close 4 times more than not adding that.
Got it.
Amazing.
That's really interesting, because I know I've seen proposals where they aren't like kind of both ends signed, so it says like we'll sign here, and the guest party, the vendor will sign here. So perhaps I'm just trying to think psychologically. Perhaps it's because they already think, look, they've taken their time to sign it, so now all I've got to do is sign my part.
Exactly. They're like, oh, okay, they signed it, I'm going to sign it too. So it could be you know what? I would love to curate more data on the psychology around it. But for now, what we know is that if you add it, it's such a simple, easy way to just increase your close rate and win. So that's my 6-step process. And by my I Proposify 6-step process of closing better in 2022 with Proposify, or just proposals in general. So hopefully that helps you and your fan base, which you have a lot of, Sam. Sam, you're like a popular guy on social. So I hope this helps your fans.
Much appreciated. Look, enjoyed going through it with you, Nadia. Thanks very much for sharing the 6-step process. I'm sure it's going to be useful for anyone that works with a sales team, is in sales, runs a sales team, for making sure they nail their proposals. Some really interesting stats that we've picked on. So yeah, thanks again. And do tell us more about how anyone that's tuned in today can learn more from yourself, the best way to get in touch with you, or how we can find out more about Proposify and the stats you've shared today.
Awesome. So a couple of things. So if you want to reach out to me, I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter, Nadia Milani. I'm happy to just discuss. You can DM me or directly. I usually get back. But more proposals, you can actually start a 14-day trial for free with Proposify. So just go on our website. You'll find our free trial CTA on the homepage. Or if you're a larger organization, maybe you need a demo, hit the demo request, and we'll demo it for you guys and gals as soon as you need it. So proposify.com is where you can find us. It's been great being here today. Thanks so much for having me, Sam.
No worries. Thanks very much for coming on. So we'll put all of those links over in the show notes over at businessgrowth.marketing. Thanks very much again, Nadia. Enjoyed the chat.
Awesome. Have a great day.
Good stuff. And as always, if you enjoyed the show, be sure to hit that subscribe if you're on YouTube, or if you're listening to the audio podcast, a quick rating is much appreciated. And if you want more actionable marketing tips, we should catch you on the next one. Cheers.